Showcasing local talent, professionals, and everyday people making Salt Lake City what it is today. It's time for another episode of the I Am Salt Lake podcast.
I want to welcome you out today to episode 223 of the I Am Salt Lake podcast. My name's Chris Hollifield. I am your host. Welcome to the show, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me, for coming back week after week as I continue the journey where I get the opportunity to sit down with locals, professionals, everyday people, people that are making the city what it is, making it a place that I know I could be proud to call home. Hey, today on the show, Melissa Zappa joins me. We get in an intense conversation about acupuncture. We talk about Flow Acupuncture, how she started up that business, what inspired her to start it up, her move to Utah. We talk about it all. We're going to be getting into that conversation here in just a minute. I do want to tell you about the show sponsor, Oleo Skin and Beard. They are a great local company right here from Salt Lake City. They're making all kinds of great products. I'm a big fan of their beard oils, beard shampoo bar, the beard balm. You know, if you're a guy out there with a beard and you want to make it look good and you want to make it soft, smell good, use these products. I'm dead serious. And not only that, but they're a local company as well. You could check them out online, oleoskin.com. Use the promo code IAMSaltLake, all one word, IAMSaltLake. That's going to give you 25% off of your entire purchase by entering in at checkout on their website, oleoskin.com. And I actually have a request from the listeners. Anybody out there that's bought any of their products, take a picture, tag them on Instagram, and let them know that you're buying the products and let them know that you heard about it here on I Am Salt Lake. And support these guys. They are a great local company from Salt Lake City. You know, yesterday, at the time of this recording, yesterday was the Make It Louder Festival. I want to give a big shout out to Michael and Nick Ferrari from Music Makes Music for putting on a wonderful festival. I had an opportunity to do some podcasting right there at the festival, and I met a lot of you. I met a lot of fans of the podcast. So thank you, everybody that came out to that. And many thanks to Music Makes Music and the Make It Louder Festival for letting me be part of the festival. Speaking of festivals, the next festival I want to really tell you about and really make sure you know about is Crucial Fest 6. That's coming up here in really just a few weeks, depending on when you're listening to that. And I Am Salt Lake Podcast is actually a proud sponsor of the festival. It's happening June 15th through the 18th, and you can go to crucialfest.com, see the complete lineup of bands. There's a schedule up there. You could buy tickets right from the website and links to check out the music for a lot of these bands. Again, crucialfest.com. Support these guys. Put on your calendar right now. Actually, put on your calendar Saturday, June 11th and Sunday, June 12th. They're going to be doing Crucial Warm-Up, 2 different days. One's going to be at Kilby Court, one's Metro Bar. Find out more about that at crucialfest.com and plan on coming out to this. It's going to be a great time here in Salt Lake City in June. I also want to tell you, it's Friday, May 27th at the Leonardo, right in downtown Salt Lake City at the Leonardo, at the Salt Bistro, which is right inside the Leonardo. I'm going to be hosting an event, really cool thing. It's called the Artist Challenge, and 3 artists are going to square off against each other, creating art live. We're going to announce the names next episode. Basically, they'll be competing against each other, painting live. There'll be 3 judges scoring their work, but there will also be an audience there voting. There's food, drink, wine, and beer. It's from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Make sure you get there early for space. This is going to be a great event. And like I said, I'm going to be hosting the event. So make sure you come out and say hello. All right. Like I said, Melissa Zappa from Flow Acupuncture is on this episode. I had a great conversation finding out her story, finding out about acupuncture. So let's jump into that right now. Thank you so much for listening, everybody. Here's the interview. My biggest question, though, is your last name is Zappa. It's not. You're not related to Frank Zappa, though, right?
No, not.
There's no relation there. I just had to throw that. I'm sure people ask you that.
When I was younger, I think I used to say yes, if it was to my advantage. And then there was one time that it really bit me in the ass, and
How did it bite you in the ass?
I was at a wedding, and one of the guests was a musician who I just admired and adored, and we're chatting, and he saw that my last name was Zappa, and he asked, and I think my drunk brain at the time was thinking, oh my gosh, just be a cool guy, just say yeah. So I don't really have much. It's a little fuzzy because it was a wedding and drank quite a bit.
Of course.
Apparently I said yes. Had no recollection till the next day. I was invited to a dinner with his wife and his family and a bunch of people from the wedding, and I was, feeling pretty cool about myself or whatever. And he stops the whole dinner and is like, so tell us what it's like to be related to Frank Zappa. And it was at that moment that I had realized that I must have told him yes. And I had to kind of backpedal and think, oh my God, what do I say?
You just
what do
make
I
up
do?
A story. Just be like, well, family dinner was awesome.
I couldn't remember what I had told him the night before,
sure.
So how do I play off of something? So I was just like, oh, I was just yanking your chain, man. I was just joking around. I'm totally not. And it was like a promise to myself, like, you're never
do that
doing that again.
It's probably for the better.
Yeah, I think
one of these days it would come back and
totally
some legality or something like that.
I'm sure.
But,
I'm sure.
I'm sure if you did your genealogy somewhere in there, right?
It's
it would
possible.
be related somewhere along the line. Not a lot of Zappas.
Yeah, I read his autobiography, which was fantastic. But I read it in high school, I think for that very reason. And I think it talks about his ancestry a little bit. And I think maybe both our lineage comes out of Sicily. And if we went way that far back, probably, but...
Where did you grow up? Where's home for you?
For me, home's Chicago, Illinois.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm actually going there in July.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'll give you a list of amazing
Please
things
do.
to eat.
Please. I've never been to Chicago. Well, I've been there through the airport or the bus station.
Okay.
I might have been through the airport at one time, but I used to take the Greyhound bus around a lot.
Okay.
But I've never really adventured in the city. So I don't. Everyone's like, try the pizza, right? The pizza's good there.
Yeah,
or
pizza's pretty great.
Or what? Hot dog? No.
Hot dog.
Hot dogs.
Italian beef sandwich.
Okay.
I think is also a staple.
So are you a Cubs fan? Do you like?
I don't really follow the sports
baseball?
ball.
Sure. No, that's fair enough.
Yeah,
fair enough. So Chicago? Did you come to Utah then from Chicago?
So I left Chicago and then I left Chicago for grad school. So I drove across the country and moved to Seattle, Washington. For 1 year, the school and the city didn't quite jive with me. So
right in Seattle, right?
School, I was living right in Seattle, but the school was in like a little suburb called Kenmore. It's this picturesque school in the middle of
it's beautiful
national park. Like this, I mean, it's like Hogwarts of hippie nature, whatever. But it just didn't fit. So I transferred schools and went down to Portland, Oregon. So.
And what did you go to school for?
Acupuncture and Chinese herbal medicine.
So, okay. And I mean, I'm going to say this right off the bat for listeners too. I don't know a whole lot about acupuncture. Mm-hmm. I know it involves a lot of needle sticking ins and.
Yep, it sure does.
I was at my day job today, and I was like, "Oh, I'm going to be talking acupuncture at work," and I was like, "Man, that must be painful." And they were like, well, you have tattoos, you probably can handle pain. It's like automatically assuming because I have tattoos, I'm going to be able to handle pain.
Yeah. I mean, I have quite a lot of tattoos myself, and I must admit that acupuncture is way less painful than tattoos, and it's way more short-lived. It's just like a little prick.
And probably more beneficial.
Oh, absolutely.
For health-wise.
I mean, tattoos look cool forever, so that's a plus.
Yeah.
But you've opened a can of worms.
When we can get into that, that. So you went to school for acupuncture. Mm-hmm. I mean, this might be odd. How long is school for acupuncture?
So it's a master's degree, but it's because there's so many components that are required, it's far more than 2 years. My program was 4 years. I think the shortest program you can find is a 3-year master's.
So it's
but
pretty intense.
It's extremely intense. So in addition to all the classroom time, you also have clinical hours. So it feels more like the load of a doctoral degree, but just the paperwork is the master's.
And what were you hoping to accomplish by going? I mean, did you want to open your own place up?
Yes.
Was that always kind of your end dream?
Yeah.
Your end goal?
I knew. Yeah. I mean,
what else would people do with it? What else would people?
I mean, sometimes people go and work for hospitals. Those people are really lucky, or they work for the VA, or they're just hired by another acupuncturist.
Okay.
But I knew, that I had a very specific vision for my clinic, and I, to my knowledge, there was no one who was doing this kind of artist, musician focused.
Which is really cool. Yeah, which is cool. I'm going to get into get into what you're doing.
Yeah, but if there was someone out there who was doing that, I would have, in a heartbeat, just tried to go get a job because it's way easier than being an entrepreneur. But yeah.
How can I ask this question? I'm trying to figure out how to ask it. Is in traditional medicine, is acupuncture frowned upon or looked high? It seems like it's a little more obscure.
Yeah. So what we think of as like normal medicine in America.
Yeah, just go get to the pharmacy, you get your medicine.
So let's just call that Western medicine.
Sure.
So because we're in the Western world, and it's like, more technology based, and there's MRI machines, all that stuff.
Sure.
And then what I do is what's usually referred to as Eastern medicine, and it's a lot of verbatim is that's actually the traditional medicine because it was developed 2,000 plus years ago. And in relation, Western medicine is a lot younger in comparison. We're in a really exciting time right now, I think, because science is finally showing an interest and kind of being able to catch up. And they're turning, their eyes towards acupuncture and starting to study it in this like very scientific method sort of way, trying to do as much like randomized clinical trials and things like that.
Yeah.
And as they do it, they are finding out really amazing, interesting things. So maybe if you would ask me that question 10 years ago, it would have been like, we're kind of the black sheep of the medical community. No one wants to take us seriously. We have a really hard time asserting ourselves that it's, effective.
Sure.
But within the last 10 years, within the last 3 to 5 years, we've had so much progress in, really high quality research that a lot of doctors, a lot of surgeons, a lot of orthopedic, practitioners are really, taking a look at acupuncture in a different way. And I guess a more respect is coming towards the profession,
which I'm sure is
it's
good.
Fantastic for
fantastic.
Me. Yeah,
Why would that be a bad? Let's actually. I mean, what even got you interested in acupuncture? I don't know if we even asked that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a particularly
It's not like this waking moment.
No,
or this,
I mean,
you're driving in your car and you're just like,
oh, acupuncture. No, I just knew. I started out. My first passion is music, and I was like, I'm just going to be in the music industry, and my life is going to be wonderful, and that's that. And I just found, after, kind of trying to follow my dream in that way, that there was something missing still. There was still this, like, philanthropic side of myself that wasn't getting fulfilled by, putting on a good show or booking a good tour, or whatever it was that I was doing at the time. And so it started to really it threw my whole life in a tailspin of like, well, what do I do now? And so I just started reading and trying to figure out like, what can I do to fulfill that, that need to help people? And I didn't really agree with, how prescription drug companies, like how that whole scene is, and insurance, and I don't know. It just, the more I read, the more it was like, okay.
It made sense to do
it checked all the boxes for me, really.
Yeah.
And I tried it. Luckily, I was healthy, so I didn't have anything that I was like, oh, acupuncture cured me of this. I was relatively healthy at the time, so I tried it, and I was like, kind of took a leap of faith of, well, this sounds great. Let's just give it a shot.
So what brought you to Salt Lake then from Oregon, from school? When you graduated, did you come right to Salt Lake then? Or
I went to China and studied there for a while.
Wow.
And then,
okay.
Which was pretty intense.
How long were you in China for?
3 months.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was this like postgraduate study program. And then let's see. So yeah, I knew right upon graduating, though, that I did not want to stay in Portland. It's very saturated with acupuncturists.
I could imagine.
Yeah,
It's very the hip thing to do there,
Super
right?
hip. Yeah, totally. Like there's a Portlandia episode about it, type of thing like that. So, I wanted to go somewhere that the medicine would be, needed.
Sure.
And then I also knew I wanted to go somewhere that had a thriving music and art scene, affordable cost of living. So I had this huge list, and Salt Lake just checked all the boxes. So yeah, it won.
Did you know anybody in Salt Lake?
No, but I was put in touch with the guys in the band Visigoth, this like local heavy metal band.
Okay, yeah. That name sounds familiar.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many bands here. There's so many bands.
Yeah, in terms of the
Salt
heavy
Lake.
metal scene, they're signed to a decently big label, and they're pretty big name in the Utah heavy metal community. So I had a mutual friend who put us in touch, and so when I came to visit, they kind of rolled out the red carpet and showed us some great Salt Lake hospitality. So
How long ago was this? I'm curious. A couple years?
maybe 2
Okay,
years?
so fresh enough. And I've asked this a few times, maybe one time on the podcast. What was your first initial thought of Salt Lake? I mean, honestly. Because, a lot of people have this weird misconception of Salt Lake City, this weird perception, or just a Utah. It's just, we have dirt roads, maybe, we're a bunch of hillbillies or polygamists. When you got here, were you like, this is cool? Like, wow, this is actually a really cool place.
Yeah, I mean, I think I was looking at it through such a particular lens.
Okay.
Like I knew
what you wanted.
What I wanted.
Yeah.
And so I remember thinking it was beautiful, and I'd never, seen a city where you could just look up and see the mountains. So that was really striking to me. And then, but everything that I was like specifically
looking for,
it was.
So did you get introduced to the art scene and the music scene?
I did. And I also came out and I chatted with a couple acupuncturists in town. So I was like on my game of like, all these things that I want, for a good life. I'm going to pursue, try to find everyone I can and ask them about it. And yeah, worked out.
So Flow Acupuncture, that's the name of your place. And we'll mention the address. We might as well throw it on here. I mean, I wrote it down, 1390 South, 1100 East. Is that's your address?
Yep.
Right in Sugar House. Whereabouts? I'm trying to think. It's
There's
by
like
kind
the
of
Sunshine Cleaners.
Is that up near Dodo Rest? No. That's up too far. 13th.
It's between. If you
13th South. I was thinking 2100 South. It's been a long day. Sorry, folks.
No worries.
Okay. I know where you're at. Great. Is it? Okay. I know where you're at. So how long have you been there for the full 2 years?
Well, so I've only been in Salt Lake as a resident for a little over a year.
Okay.
So I came to visit, and then was like, all right. So when I'm ready to move in a year.
So you're pretty new location.
Yeah.
Are you pretty busy there? I mean, with acupuncture?
I'm
slowly.
I'm plugging
up.
along for sure. Yeah, I have some days where I'm busy, and I think it's very weather dependent. So everyone's so sporty and outdoorsy that sometimes, I feel like, oh, it's a nice day. Everyone's probably out doing some activities, but things are going great. I'm more than happy with how things are going.
What are some common things? This is going to be a very softball question. What are some common things that people use acupuncture for?
So I'd say the like maybe top 3 is pain. So just pain relief, migraines, and then maybe 4, and then sleep or digestion. Insomnia, anything like irritable bowel syndrome. Chronic just stomach upset, anything like that. And then pain is just across the board. And usually that's what we get as like the number one thing that, acupuncture. Oh, that's good for pain. Like that's kind of the most recognizable thing. But it's also good for like recovery after a surgery or really bad, if you fall off your mountain bike or something like that. So there's more facets to just pain relief. It also encourages, healing of tissues and things like that.
So how does it work? I mean, another basic. I'm just even trying to educate the listeners.
Yeah, no worries.
Of the podcast right now. Like, so there's science behind. I mean, there's got to be some sort of rhyme or reason, right?
Yeah. So the legal. I mean, what what the actual answer to how does it work is that we don't know yet.
Fair enough.
Simple.
Fair enough.
But with a bunch of really cool studies that are being done using like MRIs and brain scans and all these cool things, we know what acupuncture triggers in the body.
Okay.
We know what your body's response to acupuncture is, but we're still missing that piece in between. So we know that a needle goes in a certain place, and let's say we're doing scalp acupuncture.
Okay.
So, which is you can treat the whole body on the scalp or on the ears. There's a study, an MRI study where they needle the scalp on the point for like the hand and thumb. And then they look at the brain in an MRI machine. And the brain lights up as if you're either moving your thumb or someone's touching your thumb. So there's these correlations in the body that we haven't quite figured out with Western medicine, because you know, it's not like, oh, there's a blood vessel that goes from there to your thumb, or there's a nerve. Like there are certain relationships that we just haven't quite figured out, but the Chinese mapped out in 2,000 years ago. They, after, you know, just constant observation, they were noticing, you know, someone who has eye problems later in life has, you know, such, you know, migraines or just whatever. They noticed all these interesting correlations and were able to map the body in a way that modern science or Western science just can't quite understand yet.
Yeah.
So we know from, you know, brain imaging studies that acupuncture is working, somehow it's working on the autonomic nervous system, so that fight or flight response, or the rest or digest. So weirdly enough, you would think getting stabbed with a bunch of tiny little metal needles would make you go into like a fight or flight. You know, you're getting a tiny injury. But what actually happens in the brain is that it turns down the fight or flight. So you're able to relax. You're able to, if you have any anxiety or high stress response, it turns that down, and then it upregulates, it turns up your rest and digest, so you're able to get quality sleep, digest, you know, properly, things like that. So it's working on the autonomic nervous system in some way. It's creating, you know, local trauma, which is like blood flow, increased, you know, white blood cells, red blood cells to an area. So if you're trying to heal an injury or a tendon or something. So there's multiple levels that it's working on a physiological level. And then the traditional Chinese way of looking at things is, you know, through qi and quote unquote, like energy, qi flow.
Okay, you said, so it helps you sleep. Mm-hmm. Which I get horrible sleep.
Okay.
I can't sleep.
Okay.
I can sometimes, but typically I have a hard time sleeping and poor digestion.
Okay.
So I could benefit from this. You're thinking I could.
I would assume yes.
Yeah. Well, and that's probably, it's hard for you because you can't tell somebody that this is going to cure your ailment, right? I mean,
yeah. And I mean, because you never know. And you might have had insomnia for 10 years.
Yeah.
And the next person has had it for 2 weeks. The person 2 weeks is going to be much easier to treat. They're going to respond much more quickly because they haven't had this, you know, this thing for so long. But it doesn't mean the 10-year person won't benefit. They totally
So the
will.
results are going to be different.
Yeah,
from person to person.
person to person, whatever your diet is, your level of activity, your general health. So people respond differently. People are more sensitive to it. So, I mean, I would wager if you were to come in that you would see some improvement, but I wouldn't be able to, you know, give you like an exact date of how long. But,
okay, well let's run through this then here. So like, say hypothetically we've never met. I show up at your office. Mm-hmm. How does that? I mean, how long of a visit? I mean, how does it work?
So the first visit is a little longer because we talk a lot.
Sure.
Typically, what I think is another like really sad piece of modern Western medicine is that you typically see the doctor for 7 minutes.
Yeah.
You can't really talk about everything that's going on in 7 minutes. In acupuncture, we talk about everything. We talk about your stress levels, your, you know, how much energy you have, what you eat, what your poop looks like, what your pee looks like.
And I bet you get some people that are embarrassed of that. Right?
I feel like
if they're willing to come to it, then they're going to be
and I feel like just the air, like the attitude of an acupuncturist. I mean, we've talked about poop for 4 years in school. Like we just don't have that taboo feeling about it anymore.
Sorry, I'm just going to move your microphone right over
Okay,
There
sorry.
you go. Oh, you're fine. I just wanted to make sure the mouth was getting right there.
sorry.
You're fine. You're fine.
kind of
Anyway, so
moving around.
yeah, no, I get it though. I mean, you're very passionate about what you're doing,
Yeah.
and so anyway, sorry to interrupt you. I was
No
just trying to
worries.
get the
No
microphone.
worries.
So they come in, you talk, find out kind of their health thing, and then past that, then maybe they would make another appointment.
Yeah, so we would talk until I would start to see some patterns emerge. So like in Chinese medicine, there are typical things that kind of run together.
Yeah.
So like insomnia will usually have like heart palpitations, or your sweat patterns are probably different than other people. There's certain things that run together. So once we talk about everything going on in your body, I'll start to kind of see a pattern, and then from that point on, we'll get a game plan going. And the first time you'll get some acupuncture, so you'll get to try it out. And then by the end of it, you'll have a game plan where I'll lay out, like, this is what I think's going on. This is how many sessions we should, give it a try before we see some results or full resolution, but something. These are things you should eat. These are things you should do, ways you should exercise, just a whole lifestyle plan that you can pick and choose what works for you. And then from that point on, we'd make another appointment and go from there.
And I would imagine if people are coming in to see you, they're going to be pretty receptive, pretty open to, like you say, your diet and exercise. And
It depends. I mean, that's harder for people. I mean, because coming into an office, to anyone office, a doctor, a massage therapist, a chiropractor, going somewhere for a certain amount of time is so much easier than all the other, 24 hours in your day.
yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, I don't know about other natural physicians, but I tend to be pretty patient with people who are.
Well, you kind of have to be.
I think so. Some people,
Yeah.
try the tough love approach, but I just feel like, it's your life. If you want cake, eat cake, man. But we'll do whatever we can in here to offset that cake. Like it's a checks and balance system, I think. And I want to make sure that you're doing whatever you love to do, whether it's your hobby or if what you love to do, what makes you super happy is just eating a whole block of cheese. Like I'll tell you that I don't think it's the best, but if that's the one thing that brings you joy.
And maybe eventually you'll get through, and baby steps too for a lot of people. I think a lot of people try to bite off more than they can chew.
Yeah, totally, totally. But baby steps and making sure that it's more sustainable and realistic for every person, because everyone's so different.
Success stories. I'm sure you've seen them.
Oh yeah.
I mean, even in school. I mean, what's the craziest or the raddest? I don't know. I guess that's kind of an open to interpretation question, but I'm sure you've seen some really cool things happen from acupuncture.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, let's see, I got a couple that stand out. Stroke recovery is a very, very interesting. There's a really great documentary, if anyone's curious, if you're curious about acupuncture, called 9,000 Needles. So this is,
And where can you like on Netflix maybe?
They had it on Netflix for a while. I think if you go to the website or just YouTube, you might be able to see it, because I'm not sure who,
Yeah, who has rights?
It's quite educational, and it's super really touching. But it's acupuncture is fantastic for stroke recovery. And one of my clinicals, we had to kind of observe in school, like go around to other practitioners in town and just do rounds with them and observe. And there was an elderly woman who had a stroke, who was having trouble walking and getting up out of a wheelchair. And they stuck some needles in her scalp, and she was able to get up and walk, and they took them out, and she couldn't.
And was it one of those situations where prior to that they were like, "You'll never walk again," and you'll never...
I mean, stroke. I mean, it's so time.
It's different for everybody, I guess. Yeah.
Well, they give you like a time window. Like if you have a stroke, if you're not X amount of progress by 6 months, that's probably as good as you'll get. So it's very imperative that you do as much as you can within that window of time. And so they were working within that window of time. But it was just amazing to see like what she could do and what she couldn't do. And they had made so much progress. And, the practitioner mentioned that when she had started seeing her a couple weeks earlier, she couldn't even walk at all. So the progress that they had made in those few weeks with just some needles in her scalp is just like, okay.
That's rad.
If I wasn't a believer, she's walking. So that's cool.
Yeah. Now let's talk about the Health Ambassador Program.
Okay.
That's what I read it as, right? This is where the musicians and artists, right? You're helping. I mean, I'll let you kind of take the lead here. What is it?
Yeah. So I developed this program. Like my main passions in life are music and art. Like that's what I think makes life worth living. Everything is fantastic if I've got, a good album on and, I'm creating things. And I just feel like so many people who have sacrificed, to give me the music and art that makes me happy, I want to give back to. So I kind of came up with this idea while I was in school, and it was the big light bulb moment of my life, the big turning point of my life, where I was like, oh my gosh, I can still be involved in music and still be helping people. And I merged my two passions. Like it was, one of those hairs stand up on the back of your neck type of moments. So I put together this program that anybody in Salt Lake or, the Salt Lake area who's a starving artist, a musician, that's not making a ton of money, which is most musicians, can apply to the program. And, if they're having carpal tunnel and if you're having carpal tunnel and you're a musician, that's devastating.
Have you seen, has acupuncture helped or fixed carpal tunnel?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. You can have amazing results with it.
Really?
Yeah.
You've heard it here, guys. I know I have listeners probably listening right now that are musicians that deal with it.
Yeah. And I'm
thinking of two of you right now.
Cool. Well, send them over.
Yeah.
But yeah, so even if it's a that's a very obvious connection, carpal tunnel to a musician. But I mean, any health concern, I'm really not picky that it's specifically music related or something. But any health concerns that you're dealing with that you can't afford to take care of, because I mean, if you're working, most musicians are working a 40-hour job that they're not crazy about, but just so on the weekends, on their free time, they can go play shows, they can record with their band, they can spend all their money on equipment and recording time, and that's what being a musician is really like. Like the fraction of people who actually get signed and make money and get to make a living off their art it's very slim. And I really do appreciate that sacrifice. And that is what I think is what makes so many people's quality of life better, is having good music to listen to and, having good art to look at or purchase or, participate in and things like that. And,
So they come and apply.
And
tell you, but don't they have to do something in return?
So it's not 100% free.
It's not like, oh, you're a musician, you have long hair and tattoos.
Yeah,
that must mean you play guitar.
Exactly. So, if you apply for the program, that what is also agreed upon is that, after X amount of treatments or whatever, that you'll pay it forward by playing a free show for the community, teaching, a little community guitar lesson, teaching an art class, donate a piece of art to, and then, something
to pay it forward.
Exactly. So everybody can benefit.
I mean, have you seen anybody do this in the acupuncture world, or is this kind of, as far as you know, kind of your idea, right? I mean,
as far as I know, it is. I don't want to be pompous or anything.
Sure. But where did that come from? Where did the idea just hit you one day?
Yeah, I mean, it took me a while of honing down. Like, I had that moment of aha, I can merge things, and I think just kind of whittling away at I want to do this, but I don't want to do this, and I want it to be free, but I don't want it to be I feel like it's empowering to know that people value your art and your work. And so I feel like that exchange is a very important piece, not just giving it away for free.
And what has the response been like with musicians? I mean, again, you're pretty new, I guess. So
yeah,
I mean,
I'm pretty new. I'm surprised I haven't had people, flooding to apply. I think a lot of people.
Well, there's probably hesitancy. You know what I mean? They're nervousness. What is
skeptical
this? Yeah, skeptical. There's a better word.
Yeah.
There's a better word.
Yeah. I've had a lot of people who.
Or they don't want to be that guy. Well, can I have it for free? It's like they think maybe they should really be paying you.
Yeah. And that's again why I want it to be an exchange of talent, an exchange of goods. It's not free because you're valuable and I value your contributions to the community. But I have had people, interested or think, I think that the biggest obstacle is that people don't think they're a big enough musician to warrant the program.
I mean, any local musician.
Yeah, I make no stipulation, but I think a lot of people maybe shoot themselves down first before applying, and that breaks my heart.
Well, and I think that's even something I think we all do as a we do that to ourselves anyway. We don't think we're good enough.
Totally.
We do, you know what I mean? Whether you're a musician or whether anything in life. I mean, this is a whole nother tangent of like, I know I do that to myself sometimes.
Yeah,
it's like, oh, well, I'm not good enough. I can't do that.
Yeah.
Or, they won't talk to me. They won't like me. They won't, whatever.
Yeah.
But, well, that's cool. That's in the easiest. I think there's something on your website, right? I was peeking around your website.
Yeah.
So if you're a musician or an artist who's listening right now, they can go to your website.
Yeah. So flowacupuncture.org, and there's a little tab that says Health Ambassadors, and click on that, and the application's right there. There's more details about the program. If you have any questions, you can email me. But yeah, it does. I mean, you can't lose anything by applying at all. So if you're thinking about it, just go for it.
Awesome. Now, actually, okay, that's a perfect segue. Talking about music. In the beginning, when we were chatting, you were talking about an interview that you did with the Melvins. I don't. What you played music? You were in a band, or you?
I
you
was
just,
not.
You,
it's like the major irony of my life is
okay.
that I've never been any good at playing music whatsoever.
And so, what did you do that was music related before you got into acupuncture? Then,
like when I was in high school, I managed a.
Aaron, get a little closer. Sorry, the mic.
Yeah.
I'm going to be a mic snob to you right here.
When I was in high school, I managed some local heavy metal bands, and let's see, would book shows.
Like local bands from Chicago. Then?
Yeah, when I was in Chicago, yeah, and then became.
It was just kind of something you were always interested in. Music.
Yeah.
I mean, it seemed kind of goes full circle of what you're doing with acupuncture. Music's your life. It's what fuels you.
Yeah, I've been I was writing for a couple zines and online zines and things like that for a little while.
Any notable ones or any ones or
nothing that's crazy or anything, but just probably Metal Review was probably the.
So is that kind of your music scene, metal? Is that kind of your
that's where my heart lies, but I do dabble in everything.
Sure.
So, yeah.
Are you familiar with the big Crucial Fest that's coming in June?
Yeah.
A lot of metal bands playing
last year that was right after I had moved here, and last year I volunteered at Crucial Fest just to help out and kind of meet some faces because I was pretty new. So
that's great. Yeah. No, they're this is like the 6th year that they've done it, and I've always, whether I've had Jerem from Crucial Fest on the podcast this year, I'm going to be chatting with a few of the bands.
Oh, cool.
I was just curious because that just seems right up your alley. If you're into all that, the metal and the loud stuff, I don't know what are the kids calling it these days?
There's so many subgenres, so you can really be a metal snob and talk about all the different exact subgenres that are under the heavy metal quote unquote umbrella. But
what is when I was doing a little reading about you, the Heavy Metal Bowling League?
Okay.
What is this? Are you doing this? What is it?
Yeah.
What is this? I mean, you're just like a bowling freak or what?
I have it is for me personally more about the heavy metal than it is about the bowling.
Yeah.
But so when I moved to Portland, Oregon, didn't really know anybody yet. I got hooked up with a Portland Heavy Metal Bowling League and instantly had dozens and dozens of friends, and it was the coolest thing I had ever done at the time.
Well, bowling is rad. So
bowling's really fun, but it's even more fun with a bunch of metalheads blasting heavy metal really late on a Tuesday night. So so I met my current boyfriend at Portland Heavy Metal Bowling, and he moved to Salt Lake and with me, and we decided when we got here that there was a pretty rabid and loyal heavy metal scene here in Salt Lake that would probably love it. So we set it up, and it's doing phenomenally well, and it's really, really fun.
So if you're listening, I mean, can anybody join or anybody
so anyone can join, but it is a real league. So to join the league, you have to be there on the first night of a season and sign up.
Okay.
For a full season. But anyone can come to Bondwood on a Tuesday night and hang out and have a beer with us, or just get one of the open lanes and just bowl at the same time we're bowling.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's quite a sight.
Well, I want to come bowling, maybe.
Totally.
Tuesday nights. Like 9 o'clock, 7 o'clock?
So we start at 9:30.
9:30?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's
good time. That's good. People get home from work, wind down a little bit, then come out and go bowling.
Yeah, totally.
Do you have a Facebook group for this? Or
We do,
anything?
yeah.
Really?
So just,
Okay.
Salt Lake City Heavy Metal Bowling is a Facebook group. We actually don't roll we don't roll tomorrow.
Okay.
Tuesday.
Yeah, well, this won't be up tomorrow.
Perfect.
But anyway,
Perfect.
but I mean, okay, so I'm going to get the link for that.
Okay.
Is it pretty? I mean, I'll put that on the show notes with this at I Am Salt Lake Duck, because I think this is awesome. It's
really fun.
That's kind of what I wanted with this podcast, is just this full circle of networking in Salt Lake, just to kind of have it as a resource. And now we can connect people up with a bowling league.
Perfect.
As long as they're okay with hanging out with a bunch of metal kids.
Exactly.
What else do you do? What are other hobbies and interests? Find out a little bit more about Melissa here.
Oh yeah. Let's see. So I make stained glass.
Okay. Like stained glass windows or
right now it's just little art pieces,
Okay.
but eventually probably windows and things like that. I practice archery in my free time
when you have free time, right?
Exactly.
I mean, you're probably like myself. You just got so much on your plate. You don't have a whole lot of free time.
Yeah, I love a lot of things, so it's easy to fill my time for sure.
So archery.
Yeah.
Like where did that come? I mean, archery, that's random.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like an old fashioned bow and arrow, crossbow.
Not like a compound bow or anything like that. Yeah,
okay.
just like a kind of classy, curvy, plain old archery bow. Yeah, I don't even know where that came from. It's just more, I think there's always been a part of me that's been a little worried that if the apocalypse or zombie apocalypse came, that I don't have a skill.
I like it though. I like where this is going.
So yeah, it's my.
So that's how you would survive a zombie apocalypse.
Oh, totally.
Is
it's silent and you can go retrieve your ammo.
Would you run to the mountains or would you stay in the city?
I haven't thought about, and it's funny because everywhere I've ever lived in the past, I've always had one of those like super back of your mind zombie apocalypse plans, or even just general apocalypse plans, and I haven't put one together for Salt Lake yet. So
well, you better start.
I know.
You've been here long enough.
I know.
I mean, this could happen.
It could happen right. It could be happening right now.
I mean, we don't know. We haven't gone outside yet.
I know. Look, there's not a lot of windows in here. Okay.
No, that's great. It's funny because I've actually asked that question in the podcast before. How would you survive a zombie apocalypse? And well, there's somebody who brought it up, and you thought about it, and Here's a question. I jotted down a few fun questions I asked. If you knew that the world was ending in 2016, what would you do different?
Just travel nonstop.
Really?
Yeah.
So you've been to China. Mm-hmm. Have you traveled a lot of the U.S. then, or fair enough?
I'd say probably a third of.
Have you traveled much of the world or no?
Yeah, I've been quite a lot of places in Europe.
Really?
That's probably where
all-time favorite place.
All-time favorite place. Prague.
Okay.
Or Hallstatt in Austria. Really tiny, weird, obscure little mountain town. Very tiny town, and it has this beautiful ossuary, which is one of those bone churches.
Yeah.
That overlooks just the most amazing, like, picturesque, if you think Austrian, like, mountains with this beautiful water running through it. So it's pretty surreal. It's pretty cool.
Least favorite place that you've been to?
Least favorite.
Like a place
Gary, Indiana.
Okay. You're like, I do not want to go back there.
Gary, Indiana.
Awesome. Well, okay. I asked this question. If you've listened to the podcast, if somebody's visiting Salt Lake, I know you've only been here a little while, but I'm sure you have your favorite spots or favorite things to check it out. Like if you have a friend from Chicago or Oregon, maybe, where would you take them?
Yeah, my best friend's coming in 2 weeks.
So I mean, do you have an itinerary planned out of like, I'm going to take you here, I'm going to take you here?
Yeah, we're going to the museum. Like, we have to see the dinosaurs for sure. So like the Natural History Museum.
Okay.
And then she's a huge ramen fan, so we're gonna go to Tasha's Ramen.
Oh man, they're delicious.
Oh yeah, it's out of control. And then also, I don't know if you've been to CY Noodle House. That's my current obsession right now.
I haven't been there. No,
it's on like State, and I want to say like 3300 South. there's like those big Chinese gates, by like there's a market and these huge, very elaborate Chinese gate.
Oh, I know where you're talking.
Okay,
I'm not familiar with all the eateries in that area.
Yeah, so right in that little strip mall, it's CY Noodle House, and it's fantastic, and I'm obsessed with it. So we're just gonna eat a lot. We're big foodies.
Well, there's so much fabulous food in Salt Lake, and there's so much great local food here. It's like it always amazes me when people are like, "Oh, let's go to here," and you're just like, "Really? Did you really just say Chili's?" Totally. And you're just like, "There's so much awesome."
And she's from Portland, so I mean, they know how to eat over there too.
Oh,
so
sure.
Portland. Really step my game up, but yeah.
Has your friend ever been to Salt Lake?
She came. She's a tattooer, so she was tattooing at the convention.
At the convention that happens in March.
Year. Yeah.
March time.
So, but I mean, with that, she just worked the whole time. Sure. So she saw like the Airbnb in the convention center and the Airbnb. So she didn't really see Salt Lake. So yeah, and we're gonna go down to Moab and do all that stuff too. So
very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. Anything else that you want to talk about acupuncture? I mean, I back to the acupuncture, back with Flow Acupuncture. I'll put the website on here. What is the website for people listening that might not go to the website?
Yeah,
or go to I Am Salt Lake for your website. But what is the Flow website?
Flowacupuncture.org.
Okay. And now I should have asked this. Any meaning behind the name Flow?
Yes. So I touched on this earlier, but what I pursue more than anything in life and what I think really brings people happiness is this thing that's scientists and, psychologists call flow activities.
Okay.
So it's something that you do that you like so much that you get in the flow, quote unquote, and you lose track of time.
I love it.
And for everyone, it's different. For some people, it can be washing dishes. It's just something you get so engrossed in that you forget about everything else. And it is I think it's the key to true happiness. And I've read all these, books, these cool documentaries about what makes people happy and this and that. And one of them, I think a huge component is having something that you enjoy so much that you just, everything else melts away. For if it's 5 minutes a day, 1 hour a week, whatever it is, doing something you love. And that is what I think, I think we should all strive for, finding your flow activity, for making time for your flow activity, because everyone's so busy, you always make excuses. And anytime that, let's say you're a rock climber and you love that more than anything, and you hurt yourself and you can't rock climb, you can't do your flow activity, that's devastating. So I want to make sure, using acupuncture, that I can keep you doing your flow activity for as long as possible. And that, if it's, you get exposed to a new way to paint through, the Health Ambassador program, or a new band that you love through the Health Ambassador program. I just want everyone to, know their flow, know how to find their flow and do it.
And I don't think a lot of people really even know what their flow is.
Yeah.
A lot of people just go through that day-to-day motion, 9 to 5 jobs that they hate.
Oh, totally. And they go home and watch TV, and they go to bed and they do it all over again.
That is the American dream right there. No, it's sad.
Yeah,
it's sad. And that's, I have a hard time just coming. I mean, that's kind of what even led me into this podcast. Because again, I'm not a musician. I took music lessons, but I needed an outlet. This is my flow. This is my thing I enjoy. I keep plugging away at it. And I couldn't imagine not having this.
Yeah. It's that simple.
I need my once a week sit down and connect with somebody, find out their story. That's awesome.
Well, I'm glad it's your flow, because it was fun.
Well, what do you want written on your tombstone when you die?
Oh, man.
Like or what words of wisdom to leave with? Maybe something simpler. I don't know. Just something to leave with the listeners. Profound words. I don't know. It doesn't matter, I guess.
I don't know. Just do what you love and be a badass.
I like it.
Forever. The end.
And then you're on Facebook?
I am.
So I'll put the link at I Am Salt Lake Flow Acupuncture. Are you on Twitter? Do you do Twitter?
I'm awful at Twitter.
Yeah.
I try, but I'm like the worst at it.
I just didn't know if there was like what social media to connect.
Yeah, I Instagram a lot.
Okay.
I feel like that is fun. It's I feel like sometimes.
Oh, Instagram's great. Instagram's great because, I mean, we live in a world of pictures and visual. And then again, let's see. I had the address written down here. What is it? I'll let you say the address again.
1390 South, 1100 East.
And then a phone number. Do you have a phone number maybe too?
385-242-0649.
Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent. And if for any reason you didn't get any of that, you can either rewind the podcast or go to iamsaltlake.com with the show notes for this episode. I've had a great time chatting.
Cool. Yeah, this was really fun.
Awesome.
Thanks.
Anything else? Well, I guess we can end it there. All right. Many thanks goes out to Melissa Zappa from Flow Acupuncture. All the links are going to be at iamsaltlake.com/223 for episode 223. Check her out. If you ever had any interest in acupuncture, this is your time to check it out. Support a local individual here in Salt Lake City. I cannot urge you enough to support Flow Acupuncture. Check them out. They're doing a great thing with the music and the art scene. So if you're a musician, an artist, reach out to her as well and let her know that you heard her on I Am Salt Lake podcast. Hey, there are some ways you can support the podcast, and I can use your support right now. There's a lot going on in the world of I Am Salt Lake. I got a lot of things I need to do, but I can't do it alone. You can go to the iamsaltlake.com website. That's just iamsaltlake.com. Hit the support button. Become a monthly donor. You can do it for as little as $5. Become a monthly donor. It helps keep the podcast moving forward. Helps with the web hosting. I'm in need of some new audio equipment. I can really use your help with that. So go to iamsaltlake.com/support. There is also a donate button right on the front main page where you can donate $1 or $2 and show your support to the podcast that way. You can also leave an iTunes review. This helps the show out immensely. Just go to iTunes and leave a review. It helps boost the ratings, gets it exposed to more people. Plus, it's a really great opportunity for me to know what you think about the podcast and let me know your thoughts about the show. Share any of your favorite episodes on social media. I know there's a handful of you out there that every time I have a new episode come out, you share it with your family and friends, and I cannot thank you enough for doing this. You know, share an episode. Maybe there's a back episode that's a favorite episode of yours. Share it with your family and friends on Facebook or Twitter. That's going to do it. Great week here in Salt Lake City. I've been up to all kinds of stuff. Feel free to drop me an email. Let me know what you're up to. Let me know what you got going on here in the city. My email is chris@iamsaltlake.com. Again, website iamsaltlake.com. And you can even Snapchat me at I Am Salt Lake. So that's going to do it, folks. You guys have a great week, and we'll catch you again next time. Bye now.